Note this about getting things done when you're not motivated. I've been a psychologist for 8 years, and this is what I know. I get asked daily about how to hack motivation or how to get things done when we're not motivated, and I therefore have many hacks or strategies in my knowledge bank. Not being motivated or not wanting to do a thing can have many reasons. I have other videos where I speak about that, and I'll do other videos on how to restore motivation and what causes demotivation, so that in this video we can just focus on what you can do while you're struggling with motivation. If you're struggling with motivation, you're not alone, statistically. If you're trying to be efficient while struggling with motivation, you're also not alone, because we need to get things done every day to not struggle with our mental health. Today I want to tell you about one strategy for efficiency that I often use in my life. I call it hack it by doing something else. In this video, I want to tell you about the hack and hopefully inspire you to reflect or try it out yourself. Let's go. Sometimes I don't want to do a task. For example, this week I'm painting our house. I don't feel motivated to do it at all. My lack of motivation is due to me being a bit fatigued and having a lot of things to do. I feel the heaviness of my body and mind, and I get the thoughts of I don't want to do it. It feels very inviting to just give up and sit down and escape with watching TV. But I also know what doing that would make me feel like. If I just give up, I know that there is a risk of me feeling a bit depressed or self-critical. But I also don't feel that I can just get up and get the painting task done. So what do? I use the strategy hack it by doing something else to protect me from this. I know that when there is a task that I don't want to do, that there are many strategies that I can make use of. I made a whole list of videos on these strategies, so feel free to check them out after this video. I use the hack it with doing something else when I feel stuck. When I don't want to do a task, but I also know that not doing it and giving up and watching TV will make me feel sad. When I feel totally stuck in not wanting to do the task, I'll use this strategy that has something to do with relativity. Instead of fighting with myself or pressuring myself, or instead of giving up, I'll make use of my knowledge about psychology and our perception of relativity. Relativity means in context with or next to or compared to. It's an interesting topic in psychology, how relativity has importance for motivation and behavior. Let me share some of this knowledge and the hack with you. So, if we put ourselves in the situation with an undesirable task, when I'm struggling with having the perception of a current task as horrible, I know that trying to convince myself otherwise is difficult, if not impossible. I also know that if I do the task anyways, I'll probably be very inefficient at it or feel super bad about doing it. Maybe this won't happen to you, but that idea that it gets easier when we're doing it, or maybe it wasn't as bad, is usually not true for me in my experience. When I'm facing a hard task and force myself to do it, I rarely find that it gets easier or more fun as I go. I am perfectly able to suffer all the way through the task that I don't want to do, if I just pressure myself. So what to do then? I also know that if I just give up and don't do anything, then I'll likely have trouble convincing myself that this was okay, and I'll likely not be able to enjoy my rest time. As an expert in mental health, I love breaks and me time, but I find that those are most profitable when planned and intended, and that rest time or me time is not the same as hiding away from doing things. Often giving up or hiding away from a task will be coupled with feeling bad or sad or not comfortable. Thus it gets difficult to get proper relax or rebooting time. So when I'm feeling disinclined to do something, and that I also don't want to just watch TV, then what? This is where my knowledge about relativity comes in. For humans, our perception of things often depend on relativity. Our attraction to things depend on relativity. Our enjoyment of things depend on relativity. And our suffering and dislike of things also depend on relativity. For example, A neutral-looking object can look ugly if we place it amongst beautiful art pieces. This is due to our perception being based on relativity, that our perception can change or be dependent on what it is compared to or relative to. The same object can also be perceived as nice or beautiful if we place it next to broken or dirty objects. We can find great enjoyment in food on a buffet if the other things we just had were horrible. But if we were presented with the same food in another situation next to nice home cooking, then we might find the same food to be bad or disgusting. Maybe our perception won't change that radically, but just to make the point. Our perception does change dependent on relativity. So how do I use this knowledge, and what does it have to do with efficiency and getting things done? Well, when I'm faced with a daunting task that I don't want to do, then I know that other smaller tasks will seem more appealing to me in comparison. It could be that I also didn't really feel like emptying the dishwasher, going to the basement with things, or writing scripts for my upcoming YouTube videos. But now that I have this big thing that I don't want to do, I know that these other tasks will feel more inviting. Thus, I know that I can get myself to do those by allowing myself to not do the painwork. It feels almost like a reward, or that I'm cheating a bit. I suddenly feel like I want to go to the basement or write the scripts because I get to skip the other thing. This is based on relative value, that emptying the dishwasher or going to the basement feels less horrible than having to paint the living room, and thus feels nicer. I often use this strategy, both in a small scale, where I might do some kitchen tidying while waiting for the kettle to boil, because the alternative is to stand and wait for the kettle, and that I find that more boring and irritating than doing some light housework. Or in a big scale, where I end up getting a lot of work done while allowing myself to not do something else. I've tried it and I've seen it work for my clients. It's making use of simple psychology and knowledge about how our brains work, that we find something less bad if it's compared to something worse. Using this strategy can be helpful when you feel stuck. When we feel stuck, it is important to not become rigid or pressure ourselves too much, as this usually doesn't help, or we'll end up being very inefficient, and what we're doing are slow, or just suffer lots while we're doing it. Being flexible and just shifting to another task can help you get some of your to-dos done and save you from giving up and feeling sad while watching Netflix all day. So by using the knowledge of relativity, that our perception depends on what it's relative to, can be helpful. We can then get ourselves to do a lot of other things that day, and then we can try again tomorrow with the other task. So the next time you feel that you don't want to do something, try to switch it out with another work to-do task. What do you think of this strategy? Would doing something instead of nothing make sense for you? Most often, we have more than one to-do, and this strategy can help us do things and not just give up. Of course, sometimes this hack won't fit your needs, as sometimes we have to do the big horrible task. As I can't ask you what your situation is, then I've instead just tried to make a video about all the strategies that I could think of. So stay tuned for more videos or check out my playlist. I think this is all we had time for. What was your takeaway from today's video? As always, feel free to take away the information you can use, if any, and leave the rest. Hopefully you found that today's topic made sense and I did not waste your time. Please like or subscribe so my channel can grow. Take care and see you for the next one.